Hello, hello. How's it going? Good morning. There we go. Second time's a charm. So good. Okay, yesterday I had a spa day. I just want to show you guys how excited I am to have done something I haven't done for a long time. A friend of mine and I used to every week paint our nails, maybe even twice a week, because sometimes it wouldn't last. And so she got some new polish, and I just have to show you how fun it is. So shout out to Steph. I don't know if you can see how sparkly and shiny it is. It shifts different colors. I've got different colors on this hand because I couldn't just pick one. Anyways, I painted my nails. I'm feeling pretty, feeling good. Good morning, Doreen. Also, got a little makeup done, so feeling good. Okay, that's what's exciting and happening in my life is fancy nails. It probably won't last through the day because I have a very laborious day ahead of me, moving boxes and stuff. And yeah, so what are little things that you guys are doing to treat yourself during these times with some stuff still being closed or maybe just straight up not having the budget to be able to do some of those things you used to love? That's what I want to hear about. I know, sparkly. Like, if you need to see them when the sun hits it, because this lady is based out of Canada. It's Simply Nail Logical, and she is obsessed with holographic, shimmery things. So all of her nail polish she creates is holographic in some way, shape, or form. So I've got like 3 different kinds on like each nail. It's so fun. It's called unicorn skin because, anyways. Okay, enough about nails. Let's do yoga. So doing yoga with me. Golfing, yes. And didn't have a sore back after 7 calls. Hey, that's awesome. Doreen, I'm going to try golfing this weekend. So, yes, that is what's happening with that. No promises. It's just something easy, just a par 3, nothing too crazy, assuming we were able to book a tee time. I was not in charge of that because I know nothing about any of that. But what a great little outdoor activity, great little way to get some exercise. So I'm really excited. I've done it once or twice before, just at like pitch and putt here at the Kingsman in Edmonton, and it's actually super fun. So I'm terrible at it, and once I can put my ego aside with my golf game, then I can just swing and a miss, have a bunch of fun, and get outside, which is what I love. So let's do some yoga. That's what we should do. That's what's happening. Okay, so get in the zone, Janelle. Yoga zone. I'm so excited about all these things that I have going on, but let's take it one moment, one step at a time. And I think that's the life lesson we're going to chat about right now. So as you're settling into your opening position, whatever that might be, let's talk about not rushing from moment to moment. I think so often in our culture, because we pride ourselves on being busy. Oh, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so busy. And then you kind of give a list of everything that you've been doing, and it's like look at how successful I am based on my busyness. But which is like, that just is what it is. It's not necessarily bad or good. It can be a little negative, and it can be really good if you are looking for that motivation and whatnot. But it can be good in the sense if you're taking time to actually savor everything that you're doing. And so if you're in something and you're just thinking about, okay, well, next I got to do this, and then I got to do this, and you're always kind of have that schedule in your mind, or you're thinking of all these little details of, okay, I got to remember this and this and this, then you're not really present anywhere at any time. And this is why I love yoga. Is straight up, it is all about being present in each pose, in each moment, noticing the inhale and the exhale. So not even just the breath, but the 2 different parts of the breath, or maybe even the inhale, the pause, the exhale, the pause. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of noticing and savoring every bit that happens. And one thing that's really cool is even like the Warrior 2 pose, which I think we do so often. There's actually a little story behind Warrior 2 that is all about the present moment and having the courage to stand within it. And so maybe I'll just tell you guys now, and then I'll recap it as we maybe do a Warrior 2. If I don't get to it, I want to make sure I tell this story. And so in your Warrior 2 position, you're standing there all nice and strong, and you have your arms out in either direction, kind of reaching out. And so the whole idea is your one arm is hanging on and remembering and honoring the past. You're not living in it. Your front arm is reaching forward, being aware of the future and having dreams and goals. And you have the present to stand and be in the middle of it, savoring and having the courage to live in the present moment. So that is your past, your future, but you currently physically are in the middle of it. And that is the story of Warrior 2. So there's that. Chatted enough. Let's be in this present moment together and start to savor it. So maybe you start to notice that breath. Maybe you start to feel that inhale and how the whole body starts to lift and expand and move. See if you can breathe right into the tips of your toes, taking that giant inhale breath, feeling that opening, that nice expanse or expansion that happens. And then on that exhale, everything draws back in and comes together. It can either be a relaxing, a tension releasing exhale, or it can be a slightly engaging style of exhale. So taking a few of those really big inhale breaths, not just breathing into the lungs or into the throat. See if we can get into that diaphragmatic breath, where you really start to breathe with the diaphragm, or Buddha, big belly Buddha breathing is another term for it. Feeling not just the front of the body, see if you can even breathe into the back. And starting to take those big inhales and exhales all the way through. So the breath doesn't just happen in the front of the body, it happens all the way around. Nice and big, connecting in. Feel free to make any adjustments or move however you need to. Maybe roll those shoulders back and down. Maybe you find that little bit of length through the crown of the head. Starting to just create a little space for that big breath. Feeling that little bit of settling that happens. A little sense of calm. So fun. If you like to set an intention, now is a great time to do so. Starting to sense in, what does the body need this morning? Taking another breath or two. Beautiful. Let's take one more nice big breath in. Exhale, maybe you sigh it out. And start to wake up the body, wiggling into fingers and toes, rolling through wrists and ankles, maybe even gently getting into the neck. Beautiful. Just waking up the body however you'd like. Maybe do a little twist, sneaking one in. Maybe stretch through the wrists a little bit. Just playing around, just a touch of movement. Take a nice big inhale and another exhale. If you're in a seated position, let's roll on down onto our backs. So good. Still rolling those shoulders back and down, having that spine connect in with the floor, with the mat. I like to start with my knees bent, but lots of people prefer to start with legs extended. So if that's you, go right ahead. But I find that I'm usually just not quite stretchy enough. Just my low back really likes this little kind of reset on the spine. Feels nice. Let's take that inhale breath, bringing those arms up overhead, reaching up nice and tall. Keep reaching. And exhale, just let the arms fall. Just let the body melt in towards the mat. Let's get ready. Let's take one more of those. Nice big inhale breath. Reaching up nice and tall. Maybe your arms squeeze the ears gently if you want that little more. Maybe you're now ready to kick the legs long. Or maybe they have been and you point through the toes, adding in that little extra. Keep reaching. See if you can feel this all the way into the ribs. Everything is getting so spacious. Take that nice big inhale breath. See if that gives you a little more length. And exhale, release. Start to hug the knees in towards the chest. Taking that nice little rock from side to side, giving that low back a nice little massage. I guess after all of that chatting, I never really introed the class. And so today is our Happy Hips Day, where we take some time and work on the hips, that whole hip area, the pelvis. It includes some low back. So here's some love for your low back. Let it feel good. A little bit of hamstrings and quads, and then all sorts of hip openers and hip strengthening and stabilizers. Little moves here and there, just bringing some awareness and trying to let go of some of that tension. So even here, notice, you can still be hanging on to your knees, but notice, are you squeezing through the sides of the hips? If you hold lots of tension there, you're probably feeling that little bit of a pull in through the sides of the hips. Just take a little moment, take a big inhale breath, and it helps if you make your exhale audible, but just take that big exhale. And on that exhale, see if you can relax through the hips. Once you start to maybe practice releasing tension with that exhale, you can really kind of control your tension using the breath, which is really such a helpful tool. I used it the other day. I noticed I was just clenching my jaw. When I get really focused, I clench my teeth a little bit. Actually a lot, to the point where I should probably have a day mouth guard, but like that's not sexy, so that doesn't happen. So just taking that quick little breath and becoming aware of it really helps me release and let go, and I've really helped all of my TMJ, so that's awesome. All right, let's send those feet up towards the ceiling. You can still be hanging onto the legs, and you can still have a nice big bend to the knees. Maybe you just start to kind of stretch one out a little bit more and the next. And kind of like how I like to do in standing. It's like pedaling out the feet or pedaling out the legs. Just a really gentle way to start to wake up through that back line of the legs, through the calf and through the hamstrings. And if you want to start to engage those hip flexors, starting to strengthen them and keep the same little motion going, but start to release the hands. Option by hands alongside the body, maybe pressing in towards the mat, or even tucking them under the sits bones, adding that little bit of height will help press that low back in towards the mat. So even here, if you're noticing that you're ballooning the belly out to try to stabilize, try drawing that core in and tucking the hands under. That'll just naturally help all of that happen. So finding that little bit of length through the back line of the leg. Maybe you try bringing both feet nice and long, or maybe even just have both of them working together. Trying to lengthen. Excellent. Beautiful. Let's come to our stillness, finding all of that nice length. Let's bring a little flex to the feet, extending along through the heel. So you can still have a gentle bend to the knee here. My legs aren't perfectly straight here by any means, but if you've got really open hamstrings and glutes and low back, that might be really a lot easier for you to get into and just kind of hang out here in this nice L position. Let's take a little walk on the ceiling. So just imagining just taking a couple little steps, starting to warm up through those hip flexors. You have the option to even add that big bend to the knee and just wiggle the knees forward and back. As you extend the legs a little longer, that keeps that hamstring pull in there. Just adding that little extra in, but should you want something a little more gentle, just that bend to the knees is a great variation to it. Starting to feel a little warmth. You're also using your lower abdominals here as you wiggle the legs back and forth. So if you want to get more into that, start taking those bigger steps. Starting to feel that engagement. Keep pulling or pushing that spine in towards the floor, staying nice and strong. Maybe you're really feeling it through the hip flexors. Maybe you're not feeling it at all yet. If you're really feeling it, add that bend to the knees or take a little break. Trying to keep it going. For just a few more steps, we can do this. Nice and strong. Maybe you're taking those big, you can even take like big, giant, like leg lift steps if you really want to go for the gusto. I'm feeling just something a little smaller, just something really targeted into those hip flexors. Beautiful. For 3, 2, and 1. Bend the knees, plant the feet. Take the little windshield wiper from side to side, or you can hug your knees in. However you like to take your little break, however you feel that release, your option starts there. One thing you'll notice if you're just joining into my classes is I'm really not that strict about you following along. So if you get inspired and you want to take a specific movement or add a little tweak to it, first of all, I'm not watching you, so A, I have no idea, and B, don't feel like it's going to offend me, because I genuinely, that is not something that would keep me up at night. So find your stillness, plant the feet, walk those feet in nice and close. Take that inhale breath and lengthen. Exhale, start to engage that core, pulling the belly button in, and start to just gently press into the feet. So my hips are just coming off the ground like maybe an inch, like I just barely have enough room to tuck my hands under. I want to bring some awareness to knees and quads, so you're probably just hanging out nice and easy here. Let's see if you can start to squeeze those glutes up and in, and notice if you have some more activation through those quads. Try just pushing the knees outward a bit so that you're adding a little more length into the quads, into the hip flexors. Mine are super tight this morning, so I'm really feeling this even here. If you're not feeling anything, keep squeezing those glutes and start to lift the hips up a little higher. And keep actively pressing into the feet and keep trying to shift or push the knees in that outward motion. That'll create more length through the front line of the body, which is where we're trying to find some openness. So we're opening up through those hip flexors, through the quads. If you've done a lot of core work, you might even feel this through the core. So your option to really push those hips up, maybe even a little higher. Maybe you can even bend the elbows and come into a little restorative bridge posture, planting the hands either on the sides of the hips or maybe even underneath the hips, depending on how things are working for your body. Keep pressing into the feet though, pressing into the heels and the toes. Use the entirety of the foot and keep squeezing those glutes. They're so active here. Our legs are working really hard. Take that inhale breath, remembering to breathe, staying in this moment. Maybe you notice a little pause and then take your exhale, but keep those hips up nice and strong. Use that exhale to engage. Keep lifting. So good. Holding here for just another little moment. And let's exhale. Start to roll things all the way down, one vertebrae by vertebrae. Nice and slowly. And make sure you relax the glutes through the knees, through the quads. Take that little moment. Just release that tension from all that squeezing we did. Make sure you let it all go. And let's bring that left leg in towards the body. Send that right leg maybe nice and long, or just a little longer. Knee can still be bent, heel planted on the floor, or you could extend the leg. Let's bring a nice little rock, maybe just from side to side into that left side of the body. Still try to keep that right hip pushing down though. A lot of times as we rock, we kind of roll onto the one hip, and then we're actually not getting the same amount of mobility or movement through that hip. So if you take that little moment, hit that reset button, maybe even bring your right hand on top of the hip. Oh, you can't really see that at all. Right on top of the hip. That'll just bring that little reminder of keeping that right hip down and that shoulder. If you want a little more, you can start to transition into some circles opposed to just the back and forth. But I'd like to start really easy there. This is just our warm up. We haven't really done too much in the hips yet. So you just got to take it nice and slow and gentle because we're dealing with such big muscles. If we were to all of a sudden start with a yogi squat, your body wouldn't be warmed up at all. You wouldn't be able to get that same range of motion. And odds are you try to add in that extra depth, And that's where there's injury. So that's why I do like a really solid warm up every class. Yes, it takes a good amount of time, but it's totally worth it to prevent those injuries, and little warm ups are always really good for just all of the movement for the rest of the day. All right, if you're going one direction, let's stop and just go the other way. This is a nice non-load bearing, so no additional weight in the hip other than the leg. So we can do similar stuff like this in an all fours position or even in a standing position, but then you have the weight of the body, especially in those all fours, kind of pressing into the leg and the hip as well. So this keeps it nice and gentle. Gravity is on our side. All right, let's come into that stillness, and now let's give that leg a nice big hug and squeeze in toward the body. Maybe you feel that nice little pull through the glute or into the low back a little bit, or maybe just even through the side of the hip. Really, this kind of just targets that whole bottom area, side area of the body. Nice big squeeze, maybe through those rotations. You found a little bit more depth, a little bit more movement. Take that inhale, breath, and lengthen. Exhale, see if you can relax the shoulders, rolling them away from the ears. So I just have enough tension in my arms to keep this leg in place, giving it a nice squeeze, not hunching the shoulders up by the ears. Delightful. All right, nice and slowly, let's start to relax this left leg, maybe just planting the foot down, taking a little moment, and nice and slowly starting to bring that right knee in towards the body. Just being real gentle and give it a nice big squeeze. Feeling where that tension is, and then start to add that side to side motion, or maybe even back and forth. I always start side to side though, creating a little bit of that openness, working through some of those muscles. And notice here is, are you starting to tip your head back? Is your gaze going back behind you? And can you keep that little tuck of the chin? It seems really natural and normal for everyone to start to, have their chin pointing up opposed to their nose. But then we're overarching through the back line of the neck, and that adds to bad posture. So keeping that chin tucked starts to strengthen, starts to lengthen, and it's just nice and healthy for the neck. All right, let's transition this into some nice little circles. You can keep two hands on the leg. You can extend your left leg long. Sorry, I forgot to cue it and I didn't do it. Or maybe you just took it if you wanted that extra bit of opening through the top line. You can even keep that left hand on the hip to help prevent from rolling over too much onto that right side, especially as the weight of the leg extends out to the sides. You might feel that little roll. Finding some nice motion. Maybe you feel those sweet spots, those little tender spots. Feel free to take a little pause and work them out, and adding a little pulse in on those little spots. Taking a few more little rotations, going around, and then I'm going to go the other direction. Even just simply doing something like this in bed before you get up, or after you get dressed, you need that 5 more minutes of just relaxing before you get to your crazy day. This is just so great for the hips, for the body. All right, let's find that stillness. Hugging that leg back in, give it a nice big squeeze, roll those shoulders back and down, relax through those shoulder blades. Let this be all about the hip joint. So no other tension anywhere. Take that moment, scan through the body, and see if you can let go of any of that extra tension you're holding on to. You might feel that little pull through the sideline of the hip. Notice, is it simply a stretch or is it a squeeze? If it's a squeeze, you can work on relaxing it and getting towards just that nice little stretchy pull sensation. So good. Feel like I could hang out here for like a solid 5 minutes. I totally just found my little sweet spot. Feels excellent. But we'll take some movement and work with it that way. Let's take one more inhale and start to lengthen. Exhale, maybe you start to soften. And nice and slowly start to send that leg nice and long, or you can plant the foot down. Let's take that good morning stretch, reaching up overhead and really point through the toes or really extend through the heels. Your choice there. Just see if you can find that extra length through the legs. Imagine someone even just pulling on the legs, nice and strong, feeling all of that openness. And exhale. Melt on down. Let's make our way up to a seated position. So if you want to roll onto your favorite side and then press yourself up, that's a nice gentle way to come up, or you can rock and roll up, however you like to get there. Maybe sneak a little sip of tea. I'm doing an iced tea this morning, a little matcha with some milk in it. Delicious. Mostly because I was up early and I've already had a coffee. So now we're on to tea. Although the matcha has a good amount of caffeine, so yeah, I think I'll need it today. All right, sitting nice and tall and strong. Your choice. Legs do not have to be cross-legged if you're not there yet. And when I sit cross-legged, I actually have a bit of a pull across the knee. Sometimes it's really painful and sometimes it's not as much, but I definitely feel that. So maybe even just leaning back, for me, like an inch, helps alleviate that. Or our trusted little block, our friend in the block. Sitting on a block is so wonderful. So I'm actually going to play around with that today. Adding that extra little height to the sits bones starts to open up through that low back. And the sits bones are above the knees. Kind of opens up all of this and feels so much better on the knees. And this way I'm not trying to lean back and balance, but I can sit shoulders over hips. Beautiful. Oh, that is exactly what I needed today. And now I can really feel my sits bones. So the block is just kind of pressing in to that seat. If you don't have a yoga block, there's lots of places you can get them. My yoga studio is selling them to try to keep the doors open. So if you need one, the used blocks I think are like $15. Like they're super cheap. So a little plug there for the studio. No pressure. If you don't want one, you can use a book. There you go. All right, take that inhale breath, lengthen, get nice and tall. Exhale, roll those shoulders back and down, pull the belly button in, nice engagement through that core. Inhale, reach those arms up, nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, just taking a few of these nice reach ups. Exhales, pulling the hands down because shoulders are really important too, and so is the spine. So as much as I would love to just do everything all about the hips all class, we've got to strengthen and we've got to warm up the rest of the body as well. You can look up, lifting through the heart. And as you lift the hands on that exhale, you can take that little bow, almost like a seated cat-cow, letting it feel really good. You can really slow that motion down. You can keep going at your normal pace. Reaching up, pulling it down. One more. Nice big inhale. And on that exhale, bring the hands to heart. Let's add that nice little forward fold in. So maybe you just simply come forward a few inches. Maybe you connect your hands down. Even if you put your hands on a book or a block, pressing your hands or your palms into something will roll those shoulders back and down. And there's a great way to add some length into the spine. Pressing up nice and tall. And you can keep that same flat back as you walk your hands out a little bit further. This is my edge with my knee today. We're pulling lots through there. So this is good for me, but you're welcome to keep going, even getting your head all the way down to the ground or onto a block. Everyone's hips are a little bit different and open in different ways. So some people are really good at more of that internal rotation. Some people are better at that external rotation. Some people are really good at that hinging of the hips and are terrible at other poses and postures. And so because I can't see you, I don't know how to add that extra challenge to make sure you're feeling it. This is trying to target into whatever your top leg is, into the hip, into the low back, maybe even into the glutes. That's ideally what's happening, and lengthening through the spine all at the same time. So let's press into our hands. Come on, back up to that nice seated position. Roll those shoulders down. The hands just resting gently on the knee. Let's add in a nice little twist. So take that inhale breath to lengthen. Exhale, reach for your opposite knee. Hand extends nice and long and starts to sweep all the way around. Starting that twist there, hand can plant and back behind you, almost like a second spine. Take that inhale breath, press into the hands to lengthen, adding in that height. And exhale, if you want to deepen your twist, pressing into the hands, feeling that rotation. Maybe you spin your shoulders back a little bit farther. Maybe you start to press the legs in and feeling that opening through the hips, starting the twist right from the tailbone, right from the bottom of the spine, twisting all the way around, vertebrae by vertebrae. And take another big inhale breath. Exhale, maybe that gaze goes back over the back shoulder, including the neck, the cervical spine in the twist. Excellent. One more nice big inhale. And on that exhale, really slowly, let's start to release, coming back towards center, just relaxing the hands. Take that inhale breath and lengthen. Exhale breath, engage, roll those shoulders down. Reach now for the opposite knee on the other side. Other hand extends out and sweeps open, opening up into that bit of a twist, rotating around. Hand can plant back behind you, acting like that second spine, pressing up to get nice and tall. And then on that exhale, maybe you press into the hands gently to deepen through the twist. Maybe you press those legs down, feeling the rotation of the hips. Letting it feel really good. Connecting in with the breath. Feeling all of that nice rotation all the way around. Maybe the gaze goes over that back shoulder. Taking that last big inhale. And nice slow exhale to release, coming back towards center. Beautiful. Let's switch the feet. So opposite foot in front or on top. I've been playing around with trying to switch my feet without using my hands to do so. So really for no good reason other than I love that muscle control. So maybe that's what you're trying as well, or if you just use the hands and manipulate the feet. Let's take that inhale breath, getting nice and tall. Exhale, everything is nice and engaged. Inhale, arms go up, reaching up. Exhale, just pull the hands through heart center, pressing into the hands. The option to try to bring elbows together, getting a little more pull through the shoulders, or pressing into the hands, finding that openness and that engagement through the arms. A little opening of the heart center that happens there. Release down, inhale, sweep it up, reach it up nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Option again, pressing into the hands, more trying to bring elbows together, pressing into the forearms. Just kind of gets a little bit of a different angle, a little bit of different muscles, slightly. Release it down, inhale, one more, reaching it up. Exhale, pulling the hands down, playing around, choosing which one you'd like to do. Beautiful. Let's reach those arms up and hold, reaching up nice and tall. Maybe interlacing the fingers and flipping the wrist, or holding on to the wrist, finding that nice length. Reaching up maybe a little bit taller, and let's exhale over towards the left, reaching so tall, feeling that little engagement of the side body. Maybe even the gaze goes up towards the ceiling, rolling that top shoulder open. Feeling so strong through the core, through those obliques. Keep pressing into the legs. Let's come on back up. Maybe you grab for the opposite wrist, switching which hand is on top, reaching up nice and tall, and exhaling over towards the right. Feeling that nice stretch all the way through the arm, through the underarm, through that rib cage. Beautiful. Let's come on back up. Nice and strong. Exhale, hands to heart. And let's add in that nice little bow, but with a flat back. So shoulders rolled back and down. And starting to lean forward. Maybe you get your fingertips onto the ground. Maybe you do palms pressing into the knees. Maybe you come down a little lower. And just starting to add in that nice little stretch, maybe on that opposite hip, just noticing the difference. And keep pressing into the hands wherever they are to add that extra bit of length into the spine. And then you can relax through the elbows. Just keeping that length so we're not hunching or rounding through the shoulders. And take that nice inhale breath. Extend the head nice and long. Bring that little tuck of the chin. Exhale. Maybe you drop down. Coming a little deeper, walking those hands a little more forward as we settle into this pose. You maybe find that little depth as the muscles start to release. The sun is hitting my hands and my nail polish is distractingly sparkly. How delightful. So good. Taking one more breath here. Starting to press in. Come on up. So good. Beautiful. I'm sitting on a block, so I'm going to remove my prop. We're going to make our way into our all fours position. Swinging around. Coming into that nice tabletop. Planting the knees under the hips. Hands underneath the shoulders. Take that inhale breath. Start to look up. Start to press that belly button down towards the mat. Feel that nice big scoop in through the spine. Take that exhale, tuck the chin, press that spine up towards the ceiling. Maybe even really pressing into those hands. Nice rounding. Beautiful, drop it down. Take that inhale breath, extend the head nice and long. Exhale. Press on in. Moving at your own pace, so moving with your rate of breathing. I know I like to do mine really slow. I really kind of exaggerate and press into it as much as I possibly can. Then I get this nice little release through my spine, but however you like to release yours. So good. All right, let's come to some stillness. Nice flat back. Pull that belly button in, making sure that the low back isn't scooping or sagging in any way. Let's send the right toes back, touching the down onto the ground. Roll that right hip down. And walk the left fingertips forward. Option to hang out here and just working on extending through the crown of the head and maybe even pressing into those toes, pressing into the fingertips, adding that resistance. Or if you want a little more, you can take that quick exhale breath. Make sure that core is nice and strong and float the leg up. If you want a little more, you can start to float that hand up, working on a little bit of strength here through the core, into that right hand, left leg. Keep reaching, keep reaching. And take a little glance at those back toes, try to keep those toes pointing down. Keep rolling that right hip down, keeping extending so nice and long and tall. Beautiful. Let's bring elbow to knee for 3. They don't have to come to touch, just kind of making that motion. An option to really round through the spine here if you like that. Or just trying to do this with a nice flat back is another way of doing it, getting a little bit more into the hip and into the shoulder. Taking this last one, reaching it out nice and tall and long. And keep reaching, give yourself a little thumbs up. Say you're doing great, and then extend the fingers nice and long. And drop the hand down, keep the foot up. Beautiful, just hanging out here. Leg nice and extended. Keep pressing out through the heel. Excellent. Let's start to open up through that hip. Now see how my toes are pointing towards the right. If you want a little more, you can start to reach that right hand up, coming into your gaze. All of that scratching noise is my dog spinning around because there's sunshine under the table and she's getting hot. All right, hang it out here. You can bring that foot down if you need to make it a little more gentle, or you can keep it long and extended. Beautiful. Drop the foot down. Bring that right hand down. Roll that hip down and bring the knee in. Take a nice little sway from side to side, really pushing that hip out. We'll start to get into that IT band, into the sideline of the hip. So good. Really feeling this today through the hip. Feels really nice. A nice little pushing the hip out. All right, let's come back to our stillness. Left toes go back, touching them down. Roll that right hip down. Walk those right fingertips forward. Extending the head nice and long. So still that option to hang out here and actively press into the foot, pressing into the hand. Just kind of shifts things around. Or if you want to start to strengthen through that core, I like to take that quick exhale breath to engage that. Pulls everything up and in. Float the foot up. Float the hand up if you want even more. Give yourself that nice little thumbs up. Or reach those fingers out long. Maybe you glance down at those toes, making sure that the foot or the toes are trying to point down. Just keeping that left hip nice and level. It's not floating up. Keep reaching and extending here. Remembering to breathe. Take that inhale. Maybe lengthen. Take that exhale. Engage so nice and strong. Keep that belly button pulled in so that low back doesn't scoop down and compensate. Beautiful. Let's take 3 touches, elbow towards knee. Option to round through the spine. Or try to keep a nice flat back. Kick the leg out. Move it through. Reach, reach, reach. Elbow to knee. Reach it out nice and long. Keep holding here. Keep finding that length. Keep pulling that belly button in. Beautiful. Let's bring right hand down. Pressing into both hands. Keeping that leg nice and long and extended. Let's start to roll that left hip up, stacking hip over hip. Option to simply hang out here or just press into that right hand. And if your foot starts to slide or move, that is A-okay. It doesn't have to stay in a straight line. You need to protect that knee. Left hand reaches up. You can kick out through that foot, letting it feel so tall and strong. Using those hip flexors, using those obliques. Using that standing hip. So good. And take another inhale. Find that length through the crown of the head. Extend the ears far from the shoulders. Exhale. Drop left hand down. Drop left. Bring the foot back in. That's what we're going for. Just bringing the knee back in. I get that maybe it was a different transition than the other side, but however it worked for you, I hope it was good. And take that inhale breath, start to look up. Exhale, nice little round. Find that neutral, and then walk the hands forward. And coming into your little puppy pose. If you'd really prefer a downward dog or a child's pose, that's a great option. Bring the sits bones over the heels, but I like the puppy because now we're extending along through the arms. You can drop that head down. Lengthening through the spine, keeping those hips up in the air, over the knees. Beautiful. Taking one more breath here. Nice big inhale. And an exhale. Pressing into those hands nice and strong. And adjust your stance so that you can easily tuck the toes under. And keeping that nice, strong, and engaged arms and lengthened spine. Start to press into those toes, into the hands, so you can lift the knees up, coming into your downward dog. So good. You can pedal out the feet here. Giving those calves a nice stretch. Finding a little bit of movement. Pressing into those hands so nice and strong. Let's look towards the front of the mat. Take a hot step or jump, or a couple of little steps just into a nice little forward fold. You can have a bend to your knees here, respecting that back line of the body, checking in with those hamstrings. How are they feeling? So good. I'm adding a little bend to one leg and the next, just simply because I really love it. So just like we did reclined, now we're doing with the weight in our legs, so we have that feedback into the soles of our feet. Maybe you feel that little more stretch, that little extra. All right, come to your stillness. Let's inhale, come on up halfway, or even maybe a touch more than halfway. Bring the hands just above the knees. Extend that head nice and long. Bend the knees. Sink the hips. We found ourselves in a little bit of a chair pose. You can really press into the knees, rolling those shoulders back and down, or you can bring your hands to prayer or extend the arms nice and tall. Take an inhale breath, get a little taller. Draw that belly button, activating that low back. Exhale, sink a little deeper. Nice and strong. Let's take 3 pulses here. Coming up, coming back down. Keep that nice engagement. Your choice, you could just come down a little bit, or you can really sink it nice and low. Totally your choice. Inhale up. Last one, come on down. Press all the way up to standing. Reach it up. Nice and tall. Take that nice big stretch. Exhale. Hands to heart center. Taking a moment, pressing into the feet. Wiggling the toes a little bit, squeezing the toes into the mat. Pressing the heels, maybe shifting the weight into heels and toes. And then find your stillness. Nice and strong. Dial the knees out to activate into the sidelines of the legs. Little tuck of the tailbone, belly button draws in towards the chest. Roll those shoulders back and down. Bring the palms facing forward. Nice, strong little mountain pose. Take an inhale, see if you get a little taller. Exhale, engage, pull those ribs in. And start to shift our weight into our left foot. And the right foot starts to come up. Maybe you just keep a toe down, or maybe you can start to float the foot. Find something not moving to focus in on. A little point on the floor. Whatever it is that you might see that isn't moving. The closer you look towards you, the easier the balance will be. If you want to add more challenge, start to look farther away, or even bring the gaze up to something at eye level, or maybe even up towards the ceiling or the little crease between the ceiling and the wall. And bring that knee up a little bit higher, starting to engage through those hip flexors. Beautiful. Let's bring that left hand to the outside of the knee. Holding on, and then that right arm starts to reach back. Yeah, we're challenging the balance here. Maybe you need to shift wherever you're focusing in on. If you imagine you're holding on to a rail, and sometimes that's really helpful. Adding a little twist in. If you want a little more, you can start to extend those right toes out, adding either a flex to the foot or a point to the foot. Nice twist in. Keep pressing into that left standing leg. So nice and strong here. If you want a little extra challenge, you can try to release that left hand. Finding that openness, keeping the foot up. Come on back. Bring a bend to the knee. And start to untwist. Still nice and challenging. Coming back to center. And with control, bring that right foot back in. So good. Let's bring the hips, hit a nice little circle. Just working around. I heard one yoga instructor say, bring it around town. And now that's all I think of whenever I do this. This here gets all 36 muscles that connect in at the pelvis. You can do it seated, you can do it standing. We did it standing. Let's come back to that nice strong mountain pose. Squeezing those toes in, dialing the knees out, so strong through the legs. Roll those shoulders back and down, palms face open. Inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, engage. Beautiful. Start to shift the weight into that right leg. Left toes start to come up. Maybe you still have a toe down. Find something to focus in on. We're working with that focus point today, shifting it around and trying to move it. Let's bring that left foot up a little bit higher. Reaching for it with the right hand. Reach to the outside of the knee. Option to simply hang out here or add that extra bit of twist and rotation and reaching that left arm back. Opening it up. Nice twist. And keep those shoulders back and down, lifting through the heart. If you want a little more, you can start to extend that left foot, either flexing through the foot or pointing through the toes. Keep pressing into that right standing leg. So nice and strong. And if you want that little extra, you can release that right hand. Keeping the twist, keeping the leg up. And take a nice inhale, so strong. Exhale, pull that core in. Add a bend to the knee. Maybe you reach on for the outside of the knee. Untwist it. And with control, let's bring that left foot down. You can take a little pedal We'll march it out. Excellent. Let's heel toe or bring those feet a little bit wider. Taking a nice inhale, lifting through the heart. Exhale, starting to come on down, maybe just hang out in a chair pose. Keep the hands on the hips or on the knees for that nice flat back. Or you can work towards your yogi squat. And I do this with my feet spinning outwards. That actually makes it a little bit easier. And starting to come down a little lower. I like to add this little waddle in that helps you find the right placement for your feet. I'm not expecting your heels to be down here. That is ultimately the goal. But some ankles just simply don't bend that way. And it asks a lot from your feet, from your Achilles, from your hips and your legs. Take that inhale and lengthen. Pull the ears away from the shoulders. Exhale, see if you can settle in. If this is just torturous for you, grab a block or a book or a pot, flip it upside down, sit on it, a little stool, just something to fill the gap, and that'll take some of the weight out of the knees and out of the ankles. And so hanging out here. I like to try to bring my hands down onto the ground, simply to add the twist in. So I'm actively pressing in against my leg, and I'm reaching my hand up. Gaze goes up and a little bit back behind you. Exhale. Other hand presses in against the inside of the knee. Hand touches down to the ground or to a block. And hand smooths open. Exhale. And come on back towards center. So good. Bring those hands up. Make sure those ears are far from the shoulders. All of that nice length. And we're going to journey back up. So we're going to use all the strength in our legs to get us back up. Nice flat back. To take that moment, take an inhale and lengthen and start to come up into that area that we were working. Engage the core. Pull that belly button in. And nice and strong. Start to press into those legs. Coming all the way up. You can take that nice little star. Reaching those arms up. Lengthening. Bring the hands to heart center. Great job. I'll step towards the top of my mat. Facing the opposite way. Beautiful. Let's take that inhale. Reach it up. Exhale. Coming into a nice forward fold. Bowing it down. Hanging out here. Taking a nice little break. Just feeling that on the back line of the legs. Really opening it up. Let's inhale. Lengthen. Exhale, bend the knees so you can plant the hands down. Take that nice big step back. Maybe push into that nice downward dog. Drop the knees nice and wide. And on that exhale, lower yourself into that nice child's pose. Sitting back on the hips, or if you prefer that puppy pose. Child's pose is a little more restorative. You can relax and settle down into it. Big inhale and an exhale. Feeling that settling, maybe feeling a little bit of that release. And then let's start to come out of this, pressing into the hands, coming up and forward, and making your way onto your back, spinning around. However you want to get there, really. Roll on back and down. Plant the feet. Have a nice little bend to the knees. Roll those shoulders back and down. And taking a moment to get there. Inhale and lengthen through the spine. Get nice and tall. Exhale, relax. Try to have palms facing up. To keep that nice openness through the collarbone. Just feel how that rotates the front of the shoulders open. Take a nice inhale, breath, and lengthen. Exhale. Start to draw the knees in towards the chest. Give them a nice little squeeze, maybe a nice little rock from side to side. Give that low back a nice little massage. Beautiful. Let's drop the feet back down. Bring the feet nice and wide, maybe even to the edges of the mat, or just heel toeing them a little bit farther out. And then bring the arms out alongside the body, really wherever, but try to keep those palms still facing up. And then just start to drop the legs. I'm going to drop mine towards the left. You can go really either direction. We'll do both sides. So this is kind of working with our deer legs. Even if your legs don't come all the way down like that, we're getting internal rotation of that right leg if you drop the legs towards the left. As that leg spins in, we're getting a little external rotation as that left leg spins out. And seeing if you can soften. If you want to work through that quad, you can actively try to push that knee and that hip a little bit more, forward or up. We'll find that angle that you're just trying to push that hip at, just to add that little bit of resistance in. Maybe even give that hip a nice little massage. And start to relax, letting that tension go. So if you're actively kind of pushing or squeezing through that hip, just soften. Starting to bring the knees back up, finding that nice neutral, and then dropping the legs towards the opposite side. So I'm now going towards the right. I'm working with my left hip now, actively trying to kind of press it open, just feeling that little resistance. So it's not really rolling onto that right hip, it's just kind of shifting that hip kind of up and forward. Maybe you give that hip a little massage, feeling in on those tendons, actively maybe pressing the knee. Taking another nice breath here. Start to relax, using that exhale to really release. And start to bring those knees back up towards the ceiling. So good. Let's heel toe those feet back in. Maybe they come all the way in, bringing ankle to ankle and knee to knee. I'm going to reach my arms out wide like a T. And then maybe you hover the knees over the hips and drop them down. I'm going to start towards the left again, just coming into a nice twist. So if you have a favorite variation, really we're just trying to get rotation through the spine here. So I have my right shoulder trying to stay down on the ground, and I'm rolling onto my left hip. Even if you've got space between your knees, you can add a little block or a pillow, or maybe you just bring that left hand on top of the legs, not actively yanking on the leg, but just adding the weight of the hand and the arm in might help deepen and add that right amount of tension. If you want gaze, go to the right. If you want that full twist all the way through the spine, so the neck is nice and included as well. And take a nice inhale. See if you can lengthen, get a little taller. Maybe you just kind of gently press those shoulder blades in towards the ground. And exhale, let's return the neck to neutral. Release the bind if you have it on the legs. And start to swing those legs up. Bring them over towards the opposite side, dropping them down. Nice twist. Left shoulder is still planting in, rolling onto that right hip. Nice and good. And take that inhale and lengthen. Exhale, maybe gaze goes towards the left. Maybe that right hand hangs out on top of the legs. Beautiful. One more nice inhale. And a nice exhale. Breathing in. And using that exhale, returning the neck to neutral, releasing the hand or the bind. Knees come back up, hugging the knees in towards the chest, or reaching through the knees for the feet, just helping reset that spine with a nice little happy baby. Great little hip opener as well. Feels so good. Feet up towards the ceiling, knees drawing in towards the body. Excellent. Well, here's the freestyle portion of our class. Maybe you take a little moment to play around with a little bit of movement. Maybe there's something you're craving specifically before you settle into your Shavasana. You've got options like waterfall, and feet up in the ceiling. No, up towards the ceiling if your feet are in the ceiling. Oh, you're funny. Okay, I think I'm funny anyways. So you got waterfall. You could do a little bridge pose. Maybe you're working on your wheel. Maybe you just want a little reclined cobbler, getting some more external rotation. Just playing around, letting it feel good. And then when you're ready, starting to settle into your final pose, into your Shavasana. Any pose where you can start to connect in with that breath and scan through the body. You're welcome to stay reclined. I'm going to roll it up. Take a nice inhale. Fill the lungs. Breathe with the diaphragm. Exhale. Soften. Let it go. Taking 2 more of those big inhale breaths that extend nice and long. Yep. Exhale, maybe you sigh it out. And taking 2 more big inhale. And exhale. You can continue with those nice big inhales that sigh to an audible exhale. You can return to any breath technique or state of breathing that you so choose. This is where I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your Shavasana. Take some time, focus in on some breathing, let it feel really good, and enjoy. I thank you so much for joining me in some free yoga online. If you have any feedback or questions, drop me a comment. And I hope that the rest of your day is filled with moments of joy. And I pray that you are always blessed. Thank you and namaste. Beautiful. Excellent. So yes, free yoga Monday to Fridays. I'm not in the studio this weekend. I am away golfing and doing fun activities just outside of the city, so it should be delightful there. Doreen, I wanted to mention that I'm going to make the first Friday of every month chair yoga. So it's extra gentle class, chair yoga. So maybe you can do it with your daughter, or if you know anyone who could use some chair yoga. I'm going to play around with some of that. So bring your own chair to class. It'll be fun. I'll start advertising that with some posts though. So that's my plan. I think it'll be wonderful. And that's my announcement for the end of class. So thanks for joining in. Beautiful.